Okay, so first I'm going to address the quotes that made me angry in the Princeton students article on white privilege. The first quote, I condemn people who declare that we are all governed by invisible forces and that our nation runs on racist conspiracies. The second quote, it was my grandparents' privilege to come to a country that grants equal protection under the law to its citizens, that cares not about religion or race, but the content of your character. So, what made me angry about these two quotes is that he basically disregards that there isn't any institutionalized racism in this country. To me, this displays that he doesn't even consider a minority's point of view, and I think it's out of ignorance. There's plenty of statistics that show racial inequality in salary, home ownership, education, and employment. So these racist conspiracies are actually facts. He needs to understand or accept that it's not because, it's because he's white that he will receive more benefits or will be further ahead in life than minorities. I also didn't like how he used his grandparents, his grandparents' rough life story, as a reason to deny that he possesses white privilege and to deny that white privilege doesn't exist in general. He doesn't seem to understand that white privilege isn't about how hard you have worked to get where you are, but it's about the fact that you will still be ahead of minorities regardless of how hard you worked because you're white. White people are practically born with white privilege, and it's not their fault. I mean, it's the fault of the subtly racist society, the one that they fail to acknowledge, either purposely or naively, and not all white people, just to be clear. But but this is because they just don't know about or see the racist issues that still happen today, and this society keeps it that way. I think the most important thing that we have to focus on is what he's not saying. I felt that when he said that it's not a matter of white or black, male or female, but a matter of the values we pass along, the legacy we leave that perpetuates privilege. I thought that through this quote, I felt like he was implying that certain groups should blame themselves for not obtaining the privileges they want. According to him, you receive privilege through past values and legacies, and I believe that's false. Let's not forget that this country denied blacks not just of privileges, but basic civil rights for centuries because of its, racist oppression. When you've been deprived of the privilege that your white counterparts have had from the start, you'll obviously lag behind them, especially if especially if it's been continued for centuries. This totally refutes his delusional argument, like that I read earlier, that the U.S. is, and I quote, a country that grants equal protection under the law of its citizens, that cares not about religion or race, but the content of your character. The U.S. was built on inequality and continued to bask in it for centuries, and it still does. Don't pass off a group as being lazy or purposely unsuccessful when you're ignorant about the history. If there's anything that I do agree with is when he mentions that you don't know anyone's story or background, so don't judge their struggles off of appearance. We all have different struggles and we all address them differently. So who are other people to place judgment on something they don't even know about or have not experienced? Although I don't agree that the term white privilege insinuates that success has been given as a handout to all white people, I do see where he's coming from. The term privilege can imply that a person didn't rightfully earn or work hard for the success, when in actuality they did. But as I mentioned earlier, white privilege isn't about the amount of work you put in, it's the outcome. In this country, would someone of a minority background receive the same success if they were to have worked just as hard, if not more than you, as a white person? I think the statistics in history say otherwise.